Welcome back. It's video 3 in a series of using Claude to create football analysis. In the last video, we finished off a process of setting up a group of 3 different context files, claude.md, measures.md, and the HTML reference file, which meant that we could build the report and reload the report and add in new files whenever we needed to update it, and we always knew exactly what we were going to get out. In this video, I'm going to bring in player analysis. So what I'm going to deal with is a growing number of data files, but also different use cases for the HTML report that we're building. So really what we need to look at is how we're going to structure the report so that we can look at match information. We can also look at player information, and then how we're going to manage those files. So let's start by having a look at what we finished with in the last video. Here we can see where we left off with the report last time. We fixed up the side panels here. We've got the narrative, and then of course the context files in the background. So now we'll have a look at what we're going to do now. So I've landed back here in VS Code. I'm going to bring up a new Claude session, and my first prompt, all I'm going to do is set up some structure of the actual report file. So what I'm asking it to do is extend my report HTML file to bring in a player analysis section as an additional tab in the HTML. So hopefully now it's going to think, okay, I want to keep one tab for the match report and then this one for the player analysis. I also want it to add a picker drop-down so that we can select different players to look at. I'm telling it which game we're going to look at, grouping them by team, so we've got both teams. When a player is selected, the page will update to show their match information. So let's kick that off and see what it brings back. Right, Claude's finished that process. We can see here what it's done. The changes are in place. It's a tab bar with a match report and a player analysis tab, branded with the Axon colors. The player analysis tab contains the drop-down, 36 squad members from Manchester and Leicester, and then it's got the information that we asked for with player cards just as placeholders. Let's have a look, see what we got, and we'll click refresh on that page. Here we go. We've got the match report, and then we click over to the player analysis page. And of course, we've got all the players there, and we can see that we've got Man City and we've got Leicester City, and we can see the information that it's picked out. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start to populate some of the measures. Now, to populate measures for the players, the first thing we need to do is build out the data. At the moment, under the events data, all I've got here is all of the events for the entire game. What I'm going to do next is start to build out the data and the measures that we're going to use within the player analysis page. This prompt's going to be quite detailed because I'm going to get it to work through a number of stages rather than working on small bits at a time. What I'm saying is I want to create player stats just for these 3 players. I could process the whole lot, but for the sake of this video, we'll just use these 3 players. I'm asking it to create a JSON file for each player from the match. I've also asked it to review the file system. At the moment, we don't have an area for player data, so I want it to review the file system, and it will actually change my folder structure to suit what it needs. And then I want to use the player JSON files to create a row of stat cards for these measures. And then, of course, I've asked it to make them the same as the KPI cells from previous. I'll kick that off and we'll see what it looks like. Claude's finished its process. Let's have a look to see what it's done. It's done some structural checks. So it's checked its work, which is really good here. And it's given us a summary of what it's done. The folder structure's changed. So we've now got events, players, we've got the match, and then we've got the players. If we have a look here, we've got the match first, then we've got Leicester City, and then we've got Manchester City, and we can see the players that we asked for. It's created the KPIs and of course fixed up the HTML report. So let's have a look. If I click refresh on the report and then go to the player analysis, we will choose a player. Let's go to Robert Huth as one of ours. There we go. We can see we have the KPIs charts as we asked for. For our next chart, what I want to do is I want to get a summary of the players' actions on the pitch. I'm actually going to close this because our context was getting quite full. and open up a new session. And then in this prompt, I'm asking it to create an actions map panel for the selected player. So draw it as an SVG pitch. And we've got details there around the pitch appearance. Plot each player's completed passes, duels, incomplete passes, and shots at goal. Completed passes should show as a thin line from start location to end location in the team's colors. Duels and shots use different icons and colors, and plot incomplete passes as muted gray. Orient the pitch so that the players always attacks left to right. So we're blending first and second half together so we can see them going in the same direction. Okay, so that one took a while, but we can see that it's gone through a lot of stuff here to produce the map. It's rendered everything just like we said. So now we go and have a look and see what it's produced. And we'll choose one of our players. Here we go. Okay, here we go. I think we could do better than that, but that's a good start. I've got one more set that I want to do. So we've got the KPIs here, we've got the actions map, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 panels underneath there for attacking and defensive contributions. So again, I'm going to drop that out, start a new session. Let's put the prompt in there. Fairly straightforward this time. I want you to add 2 more panels to the report. 2 panels side by side under the actions map, one for attacking contribution, one for defensive contribution with the following measures. Attacking measures, we've got defensive contribution measures. Then I've got a little bit here just to say use horizontal bar charts to indicate the values as well as the measures. We're back again. We've got those sections complete. We'll shoot over and have a look. Again, we'll refresh. We'll come back to the player analysis. We'll grab REs again. We can see the KPIs are there, and then we look at the new panels down below. We could do some work on some of the layouts and stuff, but the details are there that we asked for, and it's showing some bars. Probably need some work on the bars and the relativeness between the bars, but it is a representation there and what we asked for. That's all the work I'm going to do on the analysis side of things. So it's a fairly basic player analysis to get us started. It can certainly be worked on and definitely sharpened up. A couple of things I want to do just to finish off this video is just to tidy it up. One thing I'd really like to see what Claude can do is if it can find me images for the players and also team logos. So I'm going to set it to task and I'm just going to ask it to go out and see what it can find. And then the final thing I want to look at is coming back to our files and our context information. We've got measures, we've got the HTML reference, we've got our Claude.md. There's a whole lot happened even in just today's session that currently hasn't set in there. So I'm going to, once I've done the logos and the player images, then I'm going to ask it to update all those files for me so that whenever I come in later on, I know that I can just pick up where I left and everything will be fine. Let's get the player image in here, and I'd like to get the logos of the 2 teams here. So let's open up that. Again, I'll start a new session. This is a relatively simple prompt that I'm going to challenge it on here. So I want to add player images in place of the icons as well as team logos on the match report. Find me the player images for our 3 players and logos for our 2 teams. Place them into folders in our project and into the report HTML. Claude has come back. It has gone out and found the logos that we wanted and also the player images. It said it's made some changes to that data. We've got logos into the brand files and we've also got the player images. So let's have a look at the report. So if I refresh that, there we have it. Man City, Leicester City. Go to player analysis. Yeah, let's look at our players. That's an interesting photo. Not quite what I was expecting. And Mahrez, it's a bit the same. Look, we've got something, but ideally what we would do there, I think, is get our own images or be a little bit more direct about where we want Claude to go and get those images. For our last prompt, I want Claude to tidy up all our files. So it's a real simple one here. I want it to review the new files that are in the project, update the Claude MD measures and HTML reference files. Claude's finished its process now to update those files. So we can see here, Claude's updated the directory tree. It's got new subsections for branding with the photos and ID mapping, measures MD. So it's got the new stats for the players, and then the HTML reference, it's updated all of the things that we put into the player stats page. Thanks for watching this third video. We've now got the starting point of a basic report. You've seen the process to go through. We could keep going and looking at more detailed player analysis and match analysis, but I think you get the point on the process now and how to set things up. For anyone who wants the prompts that I used today, comment prompt below and I'll get those prompts to you. For my next video, I want to move to something that we've just developed and released, and that's using an MCP to access data via SQL. The Axon MCP allows me to make SQL queries directly to a data warehouse. With this setup now, we can really do some powerful queries, and we don't have to worry about using JSON files or CSV files that have come in from elsewhere. We can start to really ask good questions. So we might look at some more ad hoc questions, some more ad hoc reporting to see the power of what you can do with Claude rather than just creating reports. What about these one-off questions that you want to ask? Look out for the next video and we'll see what we can come up with. Thanks for watching.